Right. Okay. So we are going to talk about the new self-destructive law of Western politics and Western culture. So
We were just having such a good time firing all the Valley girls from Silicon Valley.
yes, but we need to bear the whole in mind. So basically, it seems to me that Western politics at the moment is completely self-destructive.
Yeah.
And I think that people are noticing, but a lot of people are afraid to say so.
Mhm.
And the question is whether they will admit it when it's too late or not. So that's a really big question that I ponder about. And I don't know if I'm optimistic about it or not. I'm a natural optimist, but on this,
Yeah.
I don't know. My instinct says that it's an issue. So basically, I want to say that wokeness is weakness. It's a symptom of decline, and the global order is declining for some time now. We have the emergence of a multipolar world, and this means that we are in front of a tragic situation. We will have rise in wars, a rise in ethnic conflicts, and also a really weird movement in the West that says we should be more sensitive and less war averse and less whatever.
Yeah.
So basically, it seems to me that we are looking forward to a really weird, a really bad century where there's going to be lots of warfare. And the sooner we wake up into that reality, the better able we will be to defend ourselves. Now, speaking of warfare, you can check out our website for the latest symposium number 53, The Art of War, that Carl Josh and myself, Carl Josh and I discussed about Sun Tzu's text and The Art of War. And just remember that with £5 a month, you can gain access to all our premium content. So I think that's a good deal. Check it out.
Hi folks, we've rolled out a new feature on the website, which is the ability to pay for an individual piece of content. So usually it's £5 a month every month to subscribe to all of the content on the website. But I appreciate there are going to be people who simply don't want to do that. They would be interested instead in purchasing a single piece of content for a lower amount, and they've got a particular niche that they're interested in watching. And so they don't want every single piece of content. They just want this one thing. So we've introduced this function where you can just simply purchase the one thing for £1.89, which I think is about $2.30 at the current exchange rates. And then that's just yours forever. So there's no sort of commitment there. There's no rolling subscription. It's just that one thing. So that's an option now that's on the website. It's completely live. It's completely available. And please go and enjoy it.
Right. So let's move forward and say that it seems to me that we are going to do a tour throughout the Western world, through several countries, not all of them. There are many, but we're going to make a tour and show that essentially what is being going on is that the weakness of the Western camp has contributed to the West losing the role of an exemplar. So when you have a superpower that basically is the global hegemon, people look up to it, not necessarily because they respect the culture behind it, but people respect power. And if a particular culture,
it's proper like Ooga Booga Bray, but it is true. It's like there's a reason he's in charge.
Yeah,
I gotta find out what that is.
It's also like, remember the movies with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro where they say, everyone respects the badge.
Yeah, like I'm an orc who's just like the biggest. He's
so exactly. So when you have powerful players, people look up to them, if not for any other reason because they're powerful. But when this power is declining, a lot of people throughout the world, especially the non-Western world, are not going to look upon let's say, the current woke West with a multiplicity of genders and all this stuff. They're going to look to their past and their history, and they're trying to dig up their insights from how to live there. So this means that with illegal migration, we are going to have a West of people who are going to be in favor of wokeness or not, but a weak West and a lot of people in the non-Westerners who migrate to the West who are going to be essentially more vocal about them being anti-Western. Let's just look at the next clip here from Times Square, New York City. We can have some. It is right to rebel. Let me just say this. Let me just put it here.
US, you can go to hell. Biden's got to hear you all the way from DC. Are you ready? It is right to rebel. It is right to rebel.
Can we just talk about the iconography there of them doing that in front of a massive American flag and all of the adverts of capitalism behind it? So they love living in America. They love taking advantage of everything that America provides. And they just really love the freedom they have to go, no, I hate this country. It's like, no, you don't. You love this country. That's why you live there. That's why you wear all the things you do. You buy all the things you buy. You work in the place you work. Right. This is all, again, an aesthetic to you.
Can we talk about the specifics of this particular protest that is hilarious? Because, of course, they're there with Palestinian flags.
Yeah.
And seeing foreigners obsess over Palestine when they don't know where it is, that's sort of normal at this point. It's kind of the background radiation of immigration. But Yemen...
Yeah, they don't know what that is. They don't know what that is. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I know that meme is a meme at this point where someone's like, I'm sick of being an expert on Israel. I'm going to be an expert on Yemen. But it's so true. When you see these people, it's like, come on. None of you know where Yemen is.
Yes, and I want to say that this shows a cultural myopia on the part of people on the West, especially the progressive and globalist side. They are constantly trying to interpret everything through concepts that have been used and extracted from Western history. So, for instance, we constantly listen to them talking about fascism, anti-fascism, communism, all kinds of isms coming from Western history, and they are neglecting the fact that we are not talking about the Western world here. So the same categories do not apply in the same way.
But also, you arrest a single one of these for protesting, they're screaming about human rights.
Yeah.
It's like, sorry, how do human rights hold up in Palestine or Yemen?
Well, it's human rights for some people.
Yes.
Not human rights for other people. It's
not human rights for the slaves of the Yemenis.
Yeah, so calling for the demise of the countries that host illegal migrants has basically become the norm in the West. Let's see this thing from here. We'll have the... listen to what they're chanting. No, I want to expose you to the torture. Well,
native British culture.
I want these people here.
Yeah, but just observe the difference and how the left treats it. They constantly talk about bad Western tribalism, but generally speaking, they don't think that such behavior doesn't show any tribalistic, has no tribalistic aspect into it.
Yeah.
But I want to show you this video. I'll have it playing here on mute. And
is Birmingham?
I think so. It says it's basically it's the UK. We'll let it play and we'll just say several things. So it seems to me that it's very important to understand how the...
I need to censor that. Guy getting beaten up with a stick. Just
YouTube probably requires.
Let me.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay. So what I want to say is that it seems to me that illegal migration for the left right now is what, in a sense, the proletarian worker was in the 1850s.
Yep.
Essentially, for the left, there are two kinds of people. There are supporters and those who do not support them. Their supporters can only do good. They have zero responsibility for anything bad. And if they're caught in anything bad, it's the system's failure.
Yeah.
It's the system's problem. And when it comes to those who do not support them, it is always bad things that they're responsible for.
Yep.
And to the extent that they do good things, they only do it because they are not going to get away with it. So now the left has lost, in a sense, the native working class of the population of Western countries, and they want the mix, a different mix of the population. Mm-hmm. That is why they're so much in favor of illegal migration, and they constantly push forward that agenda. And if you look at it, structurally speaking, it is the same. When you're talking about the groups that they are claiming to protect, the groups whose characteristics are protected within quotation marks and stuff, they literally portray them as people who cannot do wrong.
Yes.
Anything bad they do, it's internalized whiteness, internalized Westerners, things like that. And frankly, it gets a bit boring. But if it weren't that dangerous, we would just say, anyway, we have here, should we also...
Depends if anyone dies or gets seriously injured.
No one dies or gets injured. Here we have...
chicken shop in London.
Machete fighting. Someone uses... chairs are used like shields as well as spears that are hurled towards the opponent. Anyway, this is London in 2024. Right, we have here Milan, again, chair fighting. Yeah.
It's a ancient art, truly one that is rich. And
anyway, we have all sorts of...
I wonder what they're fighting over.
Yeah.
Like, what is the grievance on either side, you know?
We'll get there in a moment, but I don't know. Was anger expressed this way? I mean, don't get me wrong.
Sure.
I've heard stuff. I've heard stuff about hooligans fighting each other.
Yeah, you can find pictures. You can find videos of hooligans from like the 80s and 90s throwing chairs at each other.
Yeah, but I'm sure it wasn't on that scale.
Well, fewer machetes involved.
Fewer machetes. Yeah.
Some of them were quite large.
Right, round it to the number of machetes in an average British fight in the 70s.
Oh, 0.
0%. I was going to say fewer.
Yeah.
Okay, so let us go to Ireland now and talk about the Irish police is now physically attacking native Irish people who oppose the forced settlement of 160 asylum seekers in the only hotel in Roscrea, a small Irish town. Unworthy scenes. Now, I want to say that several sources cite different numbers, but the issue here is that we see a kind of brutality.
Sorry, you can only imagine what's going through the policeman's head. It's like, no, it's an immigrant hotel now, Irishman. Out.
So basically, I want to show you here from the Irish Independent, Racket Hole Hotel protest, child asylum seekers upset at clashes following standoff with the Gardaí, says minister.
A bus full of 6-year-olds were crying, were they?
Well,
we really meant to believe that. It's just
6-year-olds are standing outside with their beer and their fags.
Essentially, this is what
their Teddy was dropped underground.
This is essentially what the Minister of Immigration and Integration was saying. And, you know, let's see what happened here a bit. People had been protesting since last Thursday after it was announced that Racket Hole Hotel was to be used as an accommodation center. And there was a public order unit deployed on Monday and cordon formed as bus drove in. So we have here an integration minister called Roderick O'Gorman who said that child asylum seekers were upset at scenes of protesters clashing with the police as they were moved into an accommodation center in Tipperary.
This child is crying. Don't you want to pay billions for illegal immigrants?
Why does this child need billions?
Well, there are many children. It's not just one child.
Well, it says here more than 200 people endured sub-zero temperatures overnight and vowed to maintain their protest against the placement of up to 160 asylum seekers in the town's only hotel. The decision to bring the 17 men, women, and children into the property has sparked a 5-day round-the-clock protest outside Racket Hole. So essentially, we see here again, Ireland again is being hit by the woke agenda.
But this is extreme because, I mean, this, you know, when you hear someone who's very anti-cop and they'll say something like, the police won't stop and not do a Holocaust. Well, in this case, we see the police, the Irish police, will literally, in this case, replace the locals by force. They will literally force you out of the way from trying to stop them doing it. And don't care.
It's not even they don't care. They think they're doing the right thing.
Yeah, like, your point's fantastic. I'd love to get into the mind of the police officers doing this. I mean, how can you not immediately just be like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to go be an accountant or something, because this
guy's not even for diversity. Whack.
Yeah. I don't know how you'd stick around.
Well, they pathologize him as racist.
Yeah. And you will see that the notion of the far right is constantly being weaponized and constantly being brought about by the Irish officials. So he says, my understanding is from talking to my officials that they are settling in, but it was a difficult enough experience. Children were upset at seeing the scuffles, experiencing the violent tension as they arrived. He said, he is the Minister of Integration. And he also said, he added, I think we also recognize there are people who are traveling around the country, far-right activists who are looking to stir up anti-immigrant sentiment. You see, sorry, I'm just fed up with the constant appeal to sentiment. You know, there is some people who are upset. Well, there are a lot of people who are upset with mass migration and its bad effects. Don't they count?
No, because the only true citizens are the activists, the immigrants who have arrived.
Yeah.
But the native Irish, well, I mean, you know, for for the for the colonial empire that Ireland once endured. No, wait, that is correct. I meant to say once ran. The Irish being punished. Of course, that didn't happen, but this is the same excuse you see everywhere. I've seen people saying that, oh, the Irish can't complain about immigration considering how many Irishmen immigrated. It's like, yeah,
wait, what famine are you going through exactly?
Yeah, it's not the same, is it? Ireland isn't the vast untamed wildernesses of America, for example. Anyway.
But I want to say that the word far right is constantly used. And let us just remember the Minister of Justice, Helen McEntee, who constantly talks about the far right, talking about it. Because if you remember, Ireland has passed a hate speech bill. It constantly talks about, it inflates how many characteristics stand as protected, and constantly says that a lot of instances of speech count as hate speech, and constantly they refer to the far right. But someone asked her to define what she means. Let us just look at what she said.
Could you give me a definition of what you consider is the far right? In terms of a definition of the far right, I mean, it's obviously a political ideology, or it's a particular view that a person has. I'm not sure there is a definition. It's not. So it's a little bit like hate.
Well, it's a little bit like
so
it's
not. So I think we need to define
Senator,
what it is.
you have a limited amount of time. If you interrupt the minister, you're going to run out of time. So just let her answer the question.
Thank you.
I think what we see from a lot of people who would claim to be far right, which is not a crime for somebody to have a particular ideology, it's where they act on maybe certain matters, but we have seen people to be anti-government, anti-state, anti-immigration, anti-women's rights, amongst other things. That would be my own particular view of those who would claim to be far right.
So basically, she's a minister of justice in a government that constantly weaponizes the media to spread the message that the far right is rising, and she can't even define it.
Yeah.
And she says, she even said at some point, the far right is anti-government.
Yeah, based.
Anyway.
She makes the far right sound brilliant. The far right are a sensible position, according to her definition there.
And I'm sure if we look into the history of the concept, the far right was very much anti-government.
Well, no. The far right does not mean Nazi or fascist, because she would, of course, not be in any way shy of being like the Nazis and fascists. You know, there is no way on earth some lefty liberal type is going to be like, well, I don't want to accuse someone of being a fascist. No, it's just not accurate, and she knows it's not accurate. That's the thing. So, what the far right? They are anti-government, anti-immigration, anti-feminism. Right? So they're normal people. Got it. Right? That's it. Normals. Non-political, normal people who are like, why are you screwing with all of this? And that's what they are.
I want to end with Yuval Noah Harari talking about Trump and as being the final death blow to the world order. And also, I want you to pay close attention at what he says about a false dilemma somewhere.
Are you concerned that Trump might be elected again shortly?
I think it's very likely. And if it happens, it is likely to be the kind of like the death blow to what remains of the global order. And he says it openly. Now again, it should be clear that many of these politicians, they present a false dichotomy, a false binary vision of the world, as if you have to choose between patriotism and globalism, between being loyal to your nation and being loyal to some kind of, I don't know, global government or whatever.
Are you concerned that Trump might be elected again?
That's good.
It's only because it keeps happening. Like, you must take these foreign terrorists and you can't deport them because of global reasons. Well, no. I'm going to side with the patriots and say, get out.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a dichotomy.
Hang on a second. Are you loyal to your country and not the WEF?
Like, what does he mean? Like, how could you be a patriot but also be like, yes, of course, God praise the UN, so I will take 1 billion Africans, so of course.
But you can be just as patriotic towards your country as the global government that is destroying your country.
But there's also another issue here. I am definitely someone who is always skeptic of the way dilemmas are presented.
Yeah.
But this isn't a mistaken dilemma.
No, this is not false. Yeah. I don't even know how you would reconcile the two.
There can be no globalist patriotism. Sorry, there can be no globalist patriotism.
You could be patriotic for a globalist government,
Yeah.
But that would put you in contradiction to being patriotic for a nationalist government. That's simple.
And it seems to me that this also shows the communication of a message to the general public that you don't have to take sides. Not even if one side is your own country.
Yeah, okay, let me change that. You have to take sides with us. End of story. But what I love about this is that, I think it's very likely Trump's going to win. I also think it's very likely that the current liberal global order will be destroyed. Brilliant. What a fantastic and ringing endorsement of Trump. Like everyone else off the ballot now, sorry, it's just Trump, and it's Trump all the way down. Sorry.
Right.
Noah Yuval Harari has made a great point about Trump. Go vote for him. He's going to ruin the web.
Right. And
sorry, I think it's brilliant.
If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as Lads Hour, this episode on IMDb's top 250. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.